All right, welcome to the State Government Users Group Enlightening Round. My name is Melanie Williams. That just got louder.
K-12 floor plan?
And I am the chair of the SCUC, as well as the moderator for this session. We're a little tight on time, so I'm just going to kind of roll through some of these things real quick. Just to kind of give you a quick look at what the SCUC does. The State Government Users Group Committee is an opportunity for state governments to get together, collaborate, coordinate on everything that is GIS for state governments. All right, so these are just some of the agencies that participate in the SCUC. We meet quarterly. All of our meetings are open to anybody that would like to join. There is a QR code down there on the slides so that you guys can get onto our listserv and see when any of our next meetings are coming up, and we hope that you guys can join. It's very engaging, lots of networking opportunities, and it's a great way to learn not only what other state agencies are doing, but also learning how they're using GIS software to their benefit. All right. And with that, I'm going to let each of the panelists introduce themselves as they go through their slides, just to save a little bit of time. And we are going to start with the State Demographer Office.
Hi, I'm Mike Klein. I'm the state demographer, and I use GIS kind of occasionally, but primarily produce data for folks that you might be, for folks out there. I produce the population estimates for all municipalities and counties of North Carolina. If you're not aware of those, there's a thing called the census that happens every 10 years, but as you know, things change within those 10 years. And so I produce population estimates for cities and counties in North Carolina, or municipalities and counties, including the unincorporated area, just as an aggregate. These are published annually, always produced are published in September of every year. We produce population estimates, and they're usually lag a year. So I'm working on the July 1st, 2024 population estimates. And there are two different geographies that are referenced depending on whether it's the certified or standard municipal boundaries. Certified just means that those are the population as of the July 1st, 2025 municipal boundary, but that's still the same population estimate for most cities and counties. Most cities, it's the same population, but for those areas that are annexing a lot, that can be different. Also, on our website is intercensual estimates. So if you needed historical data going back to 1970, those are available. And include a bunch of summary tables looking at population change, land area change, mainly just looking at annexations for community, not necessarily geographically based, just tabular based, showing land area change. And municipal and unincorporated population in the aggregate for each county. There's several ways of accessing those data. I have the link to our website. If you go to Facts and Figures, Population Demographics, you'll see the data sets there. We also have an open data website that demography.osbm.nc.gov, and there's several different visualizations there as well. Also produce population projections, the latest ones going out to 2060. These are the vintage 2024. The vintages mean that's the year we produce those. And have not only total population for counties, but also more granular characteristic data on age, sex, race, and ethnicity. Again, a bunch of summary tables, and also available on the Open Data Soft website. Also, if you're just interested in understanding demographic trends in North Carolina, I publish a blog. That's an occasional blog piece that I'll look at different demographic trends and talking about those for the different communities. and I'm part of a state or national-wide network of state demographers in other states, which means I assist Census Bureau with their own annual estimates. And so if you happen to be working for a local community and you have questions about either my estimates or the Census Bureau's estimates, you can contact me and we can talk about those. In some cases, you can challenge the Census Bureau's estimates. Other cases, if there's an issue, it may be something we're aware of, and we can make sure the Census Bureau is aware of them for the next round of estimates. And also can provide technical advice. You know, I provide population estimates for cities and counties, projections for counties only, but I know sometimes folks are interested in projections for their own community or maybe smaller area estimates. I've been a demographer for several decades now, so I can provide you some advice on maybe how to either obtain data or maybe produce your own data for your local communities. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christian Bose with the Department of Agriculture. In agriculture in North Carolina, we have 23 different divisions, and most of them have statewide regions or districts, and about 11 of those use GIS routinely, but only 3 of those divisions have a dedicated GIS person. So we heavily utilize GIS to have more uniformity in data whenever we capture it or present it across the state. We're able to serve more people with less capacity in that manner. And then we also reduce the silos of data through that enterprise data. A few examples of the projects that our divisions use GIS for. The Forest Service collecting and displaying information for suppressing wildfire. So they follow a national standard of data to be able to suppress those. Forest management plans rely heavily on the statewide parcels from NC1 map. Plant industry treating spongy moth and spotted lanternfly and setting up treatment areas using Survey 123 and creating web maps. Soil and water displaying their stream restoration projects across the state. Veterinary working with permitting movement of animals and tracking diseases like HPAI and doing surveillance whenever we have those. And farmland preservation showing their voluntary ag districts, easements, and working with the Sentinel landscape. For more information about agriculture, GIS, you can go to ncagr.gov, and you can see public viewers on ncmhtd.com.
Hey, I'm Eric Wilson. I am with the North Carolina Department of Information Technology - Transportation, but actually I'm the GIS manager for NCDOT. We talked about this a little bit earlier this morning, but the way we work is DOT is an optimized agency, and there are several of those in the state, and DIT provides all of the IT services for DOT. I have a group of people who I work with who are about 60 folks, and we do all kinds of things from application development to publishing of geospatial services, systems engineering, kind of the full service IT shop. So we produce a bunch of different data that's consumed by the public. The biggest one that comes to mind is the statewide road centerline. It is the legal definition for what NCDOT owns. It is not the cartographically correct definition of what NCDOT owns, and people make that assumption all the time that it's like the definition of like beautiful centerline. It's really not. It is a definition of what the state owns, and so that's important to remember. But we manage that in a product called Roads and Highways, and we push that out every year to the feds for about $8 billion in funding, and that comes back, and so all the road work that you see around the state that everybody hates, the funding for that comes through our department with that submittal. So it's a pretty important data set that we maintain, and it's consumable through GoNC. We also are part of the statewide project delivery process for roadways. So if you are ever on ncdot.gov, if you look up how a road gets built, a lot of the applications that participate in that process are GIS-centric. Those are listed here. We have folks who support each of those applications as products, and then we also do the architecture and everything underneath of it. We also support our divisions. There's 14 divisions in North Carolina. Each one of those has a GIS presence. They all kind of funnel their data through GoNC. So if you go to GoNC and you look that up, you can find data both at the statewide level and also at the division level, which is pretty great. And then we also do cross-coordination support, especially in like emergency response and things like that, which is the topic of the day. And at the bottom there, you'll see the resources, Go NC. You can just type that into like Go !NC and put that into Google, and you'll get back our portal, and you can check out all the different data sets that are out there. And then there's also a resource below that that some people don't really know is out there. That's on our bare bones SharePoint site, but it lists all the things that DOT puts out as far as like standards and practices, metadata, a list of all of our data sets and things like that. Has folks to go and see on there too, but that's also a really good site to visit if you want to see like how we do business at DOT and GIS. And yeah, we are actively part of the whole SCUC activities regularly. That's you.
Hi, I'm Diane Enright, and I work for North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, specifically in public health, but we're the lead for GIS for the whole department. So some of our new projects that we've been working on is looking at wastewater monitoring for certain diseases. This has happened since the pandemic, of course. So we look at COVID as well as influenza, and not only can we monitor for the flu, but we can also subtype it out. For this year, we're looking at flu type A and flu type B, and RSV as well. So you can look at that on the web, and you can see where things are being detected. So flu was actually detected a couple weeks ago here in Winston-Salem. Another thing we've done recently is done a series of life expectancies and put that out on our AGOL site. It's relatively new, so looking at life expectancy from birth for the population as a whole, and then for males, for females, and then also different ages are included in the tabular data on it. So where we're going next is we want to look at cancer incidence, which we do normally as we report most of the things that we track: cancer, cause of death, adverse birth outcomes, maternal morbidity, infant morbidity. All those things are done at the county level, but there's a big push to look at our cancer incidence below the county level where it's appropriate for the population to have a good numerator and denominator to compute a standard rate or stable rate. So, and then we'll also be updating our health trends, which is also online, looking at all these things by county over 30 years. So we'll look at those trends in the future.
I am Adam Blythe. I'm with the North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal. What does OSFM do? We have a couple divisions. We have a fire and rescue division. We have an engineering division. The fire and rescue, we train and certify NC fire and rescue personnel. We have a CRR division that kind of, if you've ever, you may have a local government, you have Safe Kids, ever heard of like Operation Medicine Drop. We provide fire department ratings, inspections. During the EOC event, we provide ESF4 support, which coordinates firefighting efforts during emergencies. We also oversee the state building codes, secure property insurance for state-owned buildings, and license for manufactured buildings, among other things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the value of GIS. We're the only state in the U.S. with our own ISO ratings inspectors. So those are the folks that go around and inspect fire departments, and that affects your insurance rating. All 100 counties provide data for the inspections. These GIS programs have helped bring re-inspections from 10 to 5 years. We used to, even as of 10 years ago, local jurisdictions would provide us with paper maps and like map wheels to do the analysis, and so that's all been changed in-house. School Insurance Fund. The North Carolina School Insurance Fund was established in 1949. It empowers North Carolina to help them create a division to operate insurance fund for public school property. So our risk management specialists inspect over 180 million square feet of public schools and community colleges annually. So GIS has helped to locate and archive individual buildings and calculate accurate coordinate and flood risk values for those buildings. We have an AFFF division. AFFF is aqueous form filming foam. It's a highly effective firefighting foam that contains PFAS that can have health and environmental concerns. So GIS provides the 3 regional foam specialists in the main survey all NC fire departments for use in inventory. This is supported by UNC Collaboratory, and this program helps provide safe locations to dispose of AFFF. During emergencies, we coordinate all firefighting support. Here's a dashboard during Helene. You can see we're keeping track of all the engines, tankers, crew that we send out across the state to help. And during this event, the firefighters will help with whatever, not just fire, but whatever's needed. Provide the equipment necessary. During Helene, we had a fire and rescue facility evaluation project where we sent out Survey 123 form to all the fire chiefs, and this was not only a really cool way to figure out, okay, was there damage to your fire station and your equipment, but also they could communicate with us, we need chainsaws, we need Starlinks, and then we could send them by helicopter or those different means. So during the storm, we had 87 fire departments report damage. And we have authoritative data. We have NC Fire Stations data set, which is our official fire station data set, and we maintain that in our ratings inspections program. And also, we do have a full fire district boundary that gets updated about annually. So that's on NC One Map. If you have any questions, there's my contact.
Hello, my name is Anna Stefanowicz. I'm with Wildlife Resources Commission, and in this short time, I would like to focus on recently deployed solutions we introduced in our programs to improve our internal workflows and public services. Besides conserving wildlife resources and its habitats, we provide recreational opportunities. And one of those opportunities, boating, and through managing boating access areas. There's over 250 of them in the state, and per North Carolina Administrative Code, organized activities at those areas require a permit from us to ensure that only allowable activities and no multiple large events occur that would affect access to those sites. So we used to have, before the new solution, we used to have an internal online system where people could request those permits. But those permits needed to be manually handled by headquarters staff and regional staff. So this was a heavy workload. So we were asked to design a different system, and we found Survey 123 Connect form that fulfilled that need. The form determines on the fly a permit type that it's being requested by user based on the input about requested event details, date, length, needed space, and activities. And those submittals are built into email notification using Power Automate. We have two types of permits: weigh-in, use permit. These are mostly associated with fishing tournaments, taking less than a day. So these are automatically approved. So, and the requester and the regional staff where the event is taking place receives an email notification with issued permit. This involves no need of our staff to be involved, and since January, when that new system became live, over 300 work hours were saved, issuing over 1,600 of those permits, which is about 91% of them. And the other type of use is special use permits, basically, and everything else beyond fishing tournaments and longer than a day. Those requests are sent directly to regional staff for review and approval. fewer steps and less staff involved in this new workflow shortened the whole process from several days to 1 day. And on top of this solution, we built an experience builder application where the public can see the issued permits and request a permit. This is a snapshot of this application where there's a list of issued permits, interactive with the map. You can search permits also by water body, boating access area, a date, and tab on the upper right corner will take you to a request a permit using the Survey 123 form. If you're interested in learning more about how this whole process was designed and lesson learned, please attend my colleague's presentation on it. John Lovett will be presenting about it on Thursday, tomorrow at 2:30. We also maintain, associated with those boating access areas, we maintain over 2,000 of aids to navigation. These are channel markers, danger, no-wake buoys to safe navigation and mitigate the hazard on the water. Those features are mapped and shared with the staff who maintains those waterway markers. And occasionally those buoys get disanchored, damaged by events and human activities, and headquarters staff would get calls, emails from the public about found or missing buoys. And these had to be forwarded to regional staff maintaining those buoys. So we again applied Survey 123 Connect form to let the public directly report locations and details where missing or found buoys observed. And those reports are again built into email notifications going directly to regional staff. And that email notification has a dashboard, a link to a dashboard where the staff can easily see the location on the map and follow up with action taken and status of the report. That solution eliminated the need for headquarters staff to forward reports to a regional staff and provided transparency in tracking, following up on those reports. And this is, again, a snapshot of the form and the dashboard where our internal staff can have access to and fill in necessary fields to follow up on the reports. And this is a snapshot of our website's boating section, where the boating access area event permits and report and found missing buoy reports can be accessed by the public.
Good afternoon. I'm Dean Grantham from the Department of Environmental Quality. Wanted to talk a little bit about some of what we're doing with GIS. We do have a fairly mature GIS organization, our GIS Online based at the moment. I've given you a couple of links there, QR codes to get to our open data page. We have a pretty good repository of different data sets, web applications, web maps, the whole variety of things where we're trying to become more transparent. So we're trying to get more information out about our facilities, about where we're collecting data, what data we're collecting, and so on. The second link that's down there is to our ArcGIS Online organization itself. And there's a little bit of difference there. There are some other feature sets or feature data sets or different content that's not listed in our open data presence. And then going through, we're made up of a number of different divisions, but going through a couple of those, just highlighting them, the Division of Waste Management, which I'm sort of headquartered in, a couple of our tools there. One is the DWM Site Locator tool, and this one has been around for some time. It's aimed at the general public, so it's a list of our facilities within the division, but one of the things that we've tried to capitalize on is integration. our single largest piece of information within the Division of Waste Management was found in our documents. Our documents being correspondence, monitoring reports, a variety of different information that was not necessarily geographic in nature. That being said, we always had a location for those facilities. So what you'll find in that site locator tool is you can navigate to any particular area, put in your address, zoom into an area, go to a county, so on and so forth. But once you start to click on some of those features, you'll see that you can query our document management system from the map, which is a pretty simple thing in its implementation, but it's very powerful when you look at the sets of data that we're leveraging there. And being able to give people that sort of map experience to get to that, so you didn't have to know a facility name or a facility ID in order to get to that or to query that, is a pretty big boon for us. Another one that's very specific is the well permit decision tool. This one was one that was aimed at county environmental health departments. So the purpose was we wanted to allow those departments to know if there was a known release of contamination within 1,000 feet of a proposed well before that permit is issued. And again, we're leveraging all the same things. So Laserfish in the background for document management and so on and so forth. Where we're kind of going in the future is that bottom piece there is really integration between 4 big stacks of information. So Equus is our newest, it's our environmental data management solution, but integrating that with our GIS, so the GIS kind of feeds it or is a navigation point for it, and then going to Microsoft Power Platform. We're getting a lot of use out of Power Automate and Power Apps for tracking customer relationships and that kind of thing, contact information, and then any kind of documents that are resulting from that, maybe going into Laserfish. So all of those sort of 4 pillars kind of working together. That's what our grand vision is to get there. And I think we're making pretty good strides to accomplish that. Another one of our divisions is water resources, and a couple of their apps we wanted to highlight. One is their map locator tool, which is kind of a general map of their different facilities. Another is their, I think it's the dashboard that's on the right-hand side, is the PFAS or groundwater PFAS reporting dashboard. So perfluorinated compounds are in the news now, thinking about Comores and different places, but they're showing up all across our state. So as we're detecting those, we feel like, again, it's something that we need to become more transparent and being able to give that information to the public, let them navigate that on their own, and still have contact information to get back to us. That's kind of where we're seeing our GIS kind of fit, because everybody has that sort of map experience. When we're looking for a restaurant or whatnot, we just type it in our phone. We're trying to be that same, give that same level of equal or easy use. Another one there is the drought monitoring network, which thinking about Helene and how we responded to Helene, not so much in drought monitoring, but it was a good example of, both of those are good examples of federal-state communication, where we had to interface with Army Corps of Engineers, or we had to go with FEMA, or we had to get information that flowed across all of those barriers. And what we found that was common to that, everybody has their own data structures, but if we could link the geography somehow, if we could know where the points were and at least use that as an ability to transfer or communicate that across departments or across agencies, we got a pretty good feeling for that, I think. I think we were successful in that. The drought monitoring app is one of those. That's where we're going all the way from federal data sets to state data collected, even down beneath that in some regard, I believe. And then a couple of other ones. DMLR, our dam safety program or dam safety inventory. We are tracking where we've got dams or monitoring those. We're in the process of maybe doing some new technologies where we're trying to look at bathymetry beneath those to do some inspections in real time. Other ones, the Division of Marine Fisheries, I've got just a couple of slides there. Those are all the same area. And Marine Fisheries was one of our hosts, or pretty much hosts our drone program, so our UAV program. So that's some of the data that we're seeing, from a raw collected image to a classified image in the middle to polygon areas that we're utilizing for work tasks, basically. One of the things that we saw with our drone program, our UAV program, was an incredible amount of time savings. So what used to take us 6 hours to do or 10 hours to do, and we were only covering a few thousand square feet, if that, we can do acres now with our drone program and things like that. So we're saving a lot of time. We're becoming a lot more efficient, so we're able to do more. And again, get back to that thing of becoming more transparent and getting more information out to the public. So I think that's it for me.
Should sit next to each other, Dean. So I'm Dan Matting. Again, I'm with North Carolina Emergency Management. Going to talk a little bit about how we use GIS and the applications that relate to hurricane response. And so we have a fireman application, and now we use social logins. So it doesn't matter if you have Gmail or Facebook or Apple ID, or if you're a government employee that has NCID. If you're a local government employee that has NCID, you can actually use your Azure AD account, aka the same password you use for your email, to log in. But if you log in, please email me and let me know so I can promote your account to an advanced user. Not all of our gauges have this, but in gauges that have scenario, we've done what we refer to as a risk rating. And so you can see there on the bottom where we have the what we call recurrence interval flags. So you got 10, 25, 50, 100 year. What we know very well is that a lot of times weather people will be like, hey, it's going to be flash flooding. And that doesn't scare anybody, right? People don't not go to the bar because there's going to be flash flooding. And so what we're trying to move towards is, this is going to be flash flooding. This is going to be between a 50 and 100-year flood event, right? Hopefully we're getting more people's attention. But with the forecast, you're not seeing on this screen, but on the fireman application, some gauges have river forecasts. And so if the river forecast, in this case for West Asheville, is whatever, 18 feet, you can come into the fireman scenario if it has one and identify that 18 feet stage on that gauge is going to be somewhere between a 50 and 100-year flood event. So sometimes it takes a disaster in emergency management to find funding. On the bottom left there, that's our current LiDAR phases, which they may be changing. But currently right now, we are QCing the phase 3. The phase 3 there is in yellow. It was originally from 2015. So if you go to Spatial Data Download or wherever, and you download a DEM, just note that that DEM is almost 10 years old. And so in the next couple months or by late summer, we'll have new digital elevation models by county for phase 3. Likewise, if you want the mass points or the classified points, you can also go to Spatial Data Download and get that. For those phase 1 and phase 2, the areas in blue and green, those DEMs will be from 2020. And then thanks to Helene's BRIC funding, we are currently, actually they've already captured it, but we have contractors that have already captured post-Helene LiDAR for the areas in orange or red there are phase 4 and phase 5. And so real shortly here at the end of the summer, all of our LiDAR data will be 8 points per square meter. Somebody else mentioned earlier the UNC Collaboratory, I think that was Adam. In the top right-hand corner, the General Assembly, for some reason, gave the UNC Collaboratory special funding, and they're funding the LiDAR for those counties in red with Helene dollars. But they're also finding post-Helene aerials, and I know some of those counties already have post-Helene aerials from DOT. But in the top right-hand corner, if you're in one of those counties that's red, we, the UNC Collaboratory, or I think it'll be on NC1 map at some point, will be providing new post-Helene aerials for this winter. I've talked a lot in my last presentation about the damage assessment tool, and the map's actually broken up into 3 parts here. But on the bottom, when national teams from NAPSIG or FEMA come in and they use their SARCOP tool, and during Helene, they captured almost 60,000 SARCOP points. And so while some of those teams were from Greensboro Fire, Mecklenburg Fire, or whatever that went west, a good portion of those are being captured by out-of-state, what they call, when I say SAR, that's search and rescue, sorry. And then they say COP, that's the common operating picture. But on this map below on the left, you can see the little diamonds. And yes, Henderson County's got a whole bunch of records. Those diamonds were actually captured with the North Carolina Damage Assessment Tool. And so you'll know some places like Haywood County that had major impacts, you don't see many points, and that's because on this particular map, they use their own damage assessment tool. But if you want access to this and you're in North Carolina State government, you can just write us and we will get you in here. If you're a local government or city or county, we would love to add your ArcGIS Online account that you have with your agency into this group so that if you have an event, or better yet, you go help someone with an event, you'll be able to see that data. So on the right, if you zoom into Asheville here, these are SAR-COP points that were collected literally like 2 or less days after Helene's impact. One of the big successes post-Helene, we have an estimated flood inundation data set, and that comes from a multiple of sources. But in this particular case, one of the sources we know where damage assessment points said, hey, this was major or destroyed damage. And then if the notes said, water in or flooding, we actually took our flood gauges from Feynman. And so when it said this was a 100-year event, we took that floodplain 100-year up and downstream for a certain distance, the distance that we felt confident. We also had something called ISI data, which is synthetic aperture radar, aka radar that can go through clouds. And so when the ISAR data said this flooded, we said, yes, it flooded. And then when the damage assessment points said it flooded, we expanded the flood extents to include those. And then lastly, we have what we call high water marks. So we send surveyors out. If you're ever in an event and the water got to X feet high or X on this tree, if you just want to spray paint it, we have a website, a little survey where you can go and say, hey, this is my coordinate, this is my high water mark, and we'll come out and we'll survey it. In this particular case, we expanded the inundation. So while it's no mean exact, like if you're a local municipality and I send this to you, I'm certain you can find buildings that are in or out that we got wrong. But we're pretty excited that this is the most accurate data set that we've had. And then so over there on the right, there's a table, and it's not meant really to be read per se, but we know the total number of buildings that flooded or are in that flood inundation. And then we know the buildings that are in the 100-year and then outside the 100-year floodplain. And we do that for mapping purposes. The floodplain mapping program is part of North Carolina Emergency Management, and we want to know where things need to be restudied.
All right, I want to thank all of our speakers for coming up here and sharing some of your data and where you can find your data. If you were looking for any of the data that was shared out today, a lot of our stuff is on NC1 Map. We also have a plethora of other open data sites. So please reach out to these folks on stage or others if you are looking for anything in particular. We will also be, myself and Natalie will also be at the Council Coffee with Council session tomorrow. We will have these cute little blue cards with a QR code if you wanted to sign up for our listserv so you can get more information. If you are a state employee and you are doing GIS work, or if you're just interested, I highly encourage you to come to our SCUC meetings. They are open to the public, whoever would like to attend. Please feel free to do so. There's a ton of information. At our last meeting, we had the federal committee come in and talk to us about the data that they had, and it was incredibly interesting. So please ask questions to these folks if you have any. I do want to release you so that you can have your quick break before the afternoon sessions, and thank you guys for attending.